in this video, we're going to be going over why you need to be making videos that get less views. And obviously, that's going to sound counterproductive to what everybody says on social media, right? You get more views, you get more money, etc. That only works if you're an influencer, right? And so on today's video, I'm going to be doing a short breakdown how this video that had only 5,600 views at the time when I posted it, or when this actually case study happened, how that was actually able to generate me a $6,500 client, right? And so I wanted to preface this because for the most part, people think that in order for you to make more money, you need a lot more views on social media. You need a lot more views on your TikTok. You need a lot more views on your IG, YouTube, etc. That isn't the case, especially if you're selling a high ticket service or a service that's only specific to an individual that is on the lookout for you, right? And so in my case, I'm selling high ticket content services, right? Obviously, you guys have seen my other videos, strategy, ideation, whole framework. So with that in mind, here's kind of like the context of, and I'm going to show you guys the video too as well. In the video, what I decided to do is create the understanding that, hey, if you're a business owner, you shouldn't be creating content as if you were an influencer, right? You have to treat your social media as a resume. So I created this narrative and this comparison of, would you much rather have a video that gives you 100,000 views but has no conversations and no leads? Or would you much rather have a video that gets 10,000 views but generates you 10 new leads to your business, right? And so the reason why that is because that's the reality of it. Most of the time, especially because of social media, we immediately think more followers, more likes, more comments, more views, more business, which that could be the case, right? But the video has to be, built for it to actually have a conversion, so that if it does get that volume of views, likes, engagement, and everything, then it will generate you more money, but not just stuff that's based off of entertainment. And so on the video, I broke exactly that. Let me actually play it for you guys. Boom.
You need to watch this video. The biggest difference between good content and bad content as a business owner isn't based on the amount of views and likes that you get, but it's on the amount of conversations that are started because of that piece of content. I'm going to give you an example. Video 1 gets 100,000 views, but 0 conversations started. Video number 2 only gets 1,000 views, but it brings in 10 new leads to your business. If you were to pick one of those videos, I'm pretty sure you would go with option number 2. See, as a business owner, you're not an influencer, so you cannot judge the success of your content based on just likes and views. Content is just a way for you to get your foot in the door. How you conduct business is how you get that client, and how you grow and scale the business is by giving that customer the best experience possible that he has to go and tell 2 more people. You gotta realize that content on social media only works if you work in real life.
The only reason why I'm smiling is because obviously as you go, you evolve, right? So even in my delivery, I feel like I sound very monotone, but it's still performed, and I think that's a perfect example as to like, a lot of times we overthink the content process, or like, hey, is this good enough? Was my script perfect? Is the idea gonna hit? Like sometimes we just get this vision in our mind and we overthink ourselves out of that opportunity, so we don't shoot it. And it ended up, now that I look back, I'm like, man, I could have made that 10 times better. I would have structured it different. I would have not sound as monotone. But at the end of the day, it performed and it got us the outcome, right? And so what I did, again, I always tell you guys, you always got to reverse engineer, right? So if I know that my specific client makes X amount of money, it's a specific type of person, what am I going to do in that process to make sure that I'm able to filter out the ones that aren't going to be as good quality leads, right? So what I decided to do through ManyChat is, if you guys are not familiar with ManyChat, it's basically an automation system that basically auto responds, and it's the only third-party app that's actually approved by Meta, so that you're able to use it and you're not getting blocked or something because of spam. But ManyChat, what I decided to do is I actually did a paywall, right? And so a paywall, the main reason why that is honestly, you can do it or not. Obviously now I have a setter, so that person can just, go to the conversation and do it manually. But if you're somebody that's just building and you don't have, the capacity to be able or even benefit from a setter, then a paywall would work. So what I decided to do is do a 30-minute consultation. I think I put it at like $97 or something like that. And the only reason why is because somebody that already is high intent, they're going to pay that money to then, actually be able to become a client, right? Because if your service is something that they truly need, they'll pay that money, book the call, and on the call, you'll have a higher chance of them closing, right? And so in this specific case, it actually was the other way around, right? Because also too, when you deal with high level people, you deal with high level expectations, and everybody has a way of how they want to operate their business and move. That's one thing that I've discovered working with like high level entrepreneurs. They all have their expectations, and they all have their own way of how they want to go about it and how they want to be treated, right? So in this specific case, person watched the video, read my description, commented the CTA, ManyChat automatically sent them over to the book a call link. And I noticed that he didn't book a call, but what I did do is that I went on his page. And keep in mind, this wasn't a person that I knew that was watching my content or that had been following me. I had never spoken to this person prior to this. And so when I clicked on his profile, I saw that everything that he was doing, he's a coach that basically teaches people how to get into event spaces and make, I think, 10K per month passively with an event space business. And so I'm like, yo, this is perfectly in alignment with the people that I service. So instead of just kind of being like, you know what, well, this person didn't book a call, I decided to manually reach out to him. And so I said, let me know if you have any issues booking the call or if you have any specific questions for me. He basically said, I saw there was a price point for the strategy call, so I passed. And if I'm being honest, I was more interested in a done-for-you service or content ideation if you guys offer that. And so I basically, broke it down, right, because game recognizes game. So I basically explained to him why I had that paywall. And then I just manually went in there and, had the conversation. And I was like, hey, let's hop on a Zoom call this afternoon to go over your vision, what your goals are for content, and what's a good time for you. And I basically broke down to like, yeah, most definitely, that's my bread and butter. The Done For You service, it comes with ideation and strategy. So again, how I always tell you guys, package everything into one because that's how it compensates for the price point. So it's not just, hey, you're going to go in there, and just go there with the camera and expect the client to have all the answers or all the strategies or all the ideas. You strategize beforehand, you shoot the content, you edit the content, and then you also distribute it so that the person has a full-on experience. Because the last thing that somebody wants to do is hire somebody that they have to manage. They want to hire somebody that's going to help them carry the boat, someone that's going to help them, push the wagon forward and increase the momentum of it, because they already have something going on. Now they just want somebody that can come in and continue to accelerate and add growth to it, right? And so one of the key things that I've also learned is that success loves speed. Anybody else would have been like, you know what, maybe I'll call this guy tomorrow. Yeah, you know what, maybe like I'll wait till, Thursday or Friday when it's my slow day to have a conversation. By them, they've already seen hundreds of other videos. They've already landed on somebody else's page that does the exact same service as you. That excitement is now gone. They've forgotten about you. Now they go with this person, and then now you lost an opportunity. So I told them, hey, let's hop on a call today. What time works for you? Boom, hopped on a call, locked it in. I got the deposit. This was for a $6,500 project. My guy sent the deposit, and then boom, that was it. Cash collected, $6,500. Once everything was said and done, I usually collect 50% up front, and then the remainder once I actually fly out and shoot the content. But this video generated me more than the amount of views that it generated, right? And so this is a perfect example as to why when you understand your audience, you don't need to go for views. You just need to build a audience of people that have an actual interest in what you're educating on or the service that you provide that can actually benefit them. And that's the biggest shift. Like even for YouTube stuff, right? My background, the way that I kind of took off on YouTube originally was with a family channel, right? We got it up to 50K subs, doing extremely well, with that channel. Now I'm like, I'm in the education side, right? I've always done this. Like even when I took off on YouTube, even though it was like a family channel, I've always operated my business. I've always operated my agency, but I would always think the same way. Like, I got to hit views in order for me to grow, or I got to have X amount of followers or this and that to get opportunities. Yes, that's true on the influencer side. The more views that we got, we were able to go under management. The only requirement was that we needed to hit 10K views consistently per episode. We were there. We're doing that consistently. We got brand deals, etc. So the more views equated to more dollars, but that's not always the case when it comes to doing a done-for-you service, especially as a videographer, content agency, operating at SMMA, etc. Right? And one of the key things too that I always tell people that come from like a SMMA background is that you don't need to promise the world, right? You just have to zone in on what exactly it is that you're good at. For me, my expertise is social media, content creation, and strategy. Essentially marketing, right? Through video. That's what I love. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what I, truly thrive and excel. When I first started, people would say, "Oh, you gotta do SEO, you gotta do SMS, you gotta do all these other things." Like, I have no desire for that, and I don't want to outsource it to anybody because now I have to manage that too as well. And if that person doesn't deliver, well, now guess who does it fall back on me because I recommended that person or I made it seem like as in that person was part of my team and my sphere. So for me, all I do is ideation, the content strategy. Obviously, we do the shooting and the editing and the distribution. That system right there is beautiful, right? Because the way that I built it is I'll go and travel to the client. I'll stay maybe a day or two max, get all the content that I need. I get everything approved beforehand. And then I come back, have my team edit all the footage, everything. I'll revise it, make sure that everything looks good. And then boom, we start distributing, send the Dropbox file over to the client. Some of them prefer to, run their own IG. We'll still distribute on YouTube and TikTok. Right. And that system for me is beautiful because I just go travel once or twice a month per client, come back home, and then the remainder of the work is all done in-house. I don't have to be traveling. I can still stay here in the city. The reason why I say this is because I have clients out in the East Coast. So you're talking New York, Pennsylvania, Atlanta. Obviously, I have clients in LA too as well. So I have to travel to them every single month. And so this allows for me to stay home, be with my family. By the time I'm done with what I got to do, I get to spend time with them and everything, right? But this just comes to show that you don't need to go after a lot of followers, a lot of viewers. And I want this to also be a reminder to you. Even if you're getting low views, whether you're getting 50, 100, 200, 300, if the message that you're saying on that video, every single one of those views matter. And if you're in the infancy stages where it's like, hey, I only have a couple hundred followers, but I know some of them are business owners, this is where you have to spend the time and DMing them, not because it's a cold DM, because they're already following you, so they already have an understanding in what you do. And if you go back to the content pyramid, you should have already been building, every single one of those pillars within that pyramid, so that you create that social proof, that credibility, and that trust factor, so that now when you reach out, they've already seen what you do. They already know how you think. They already know how you approach what you service, the way you think, the way that you strategize. So it makes it easier for you to have that conversation. So now you're not going to a random person cold DMing them. It's somebody that's already within your follower account. Yes, you can do cold DMs too as well if you already have a solid enough personal brand, but you really have no leverage if you're outreaching to somebody who hasn't already consumed your content. If you're actively creating content, adding value, debunking misconceptions, showing case studies, whether it's your content or a client's content, that's how you actually create those conversions, even from a small audience. I'm pretty sure you guys have watched Hermosi talk about that. I think it was like a nurse story, or she was this lady in healthcare where she had less than, I want to say, 1,000 followers, and she was generating over 1 million. She was only getting about 3,000 impressions per month, but that made her a 7-figure company, right? Because the quality of the audience is there. Right? If you're in the industry of helping people in trades, be able to create content, develop a content strategy and a system that generates them more leads, that's a quality audience and a quality client, because their projects, you're talking at a minimum 20,000. You're talking $50,000 projects, $100,000 projects, $300,000 projects. So now imagine you having on a retainer for 10 grand. Your price point is practically irrelevant if they're getting 2 to 3 new clients per month. Your price point is very sustainable and very doable, especially if you're able to develop a system that's structured that is actually bringing them more leads to the business, because whether they close today or they close 2 weeks from now or they close a month from now, that's still a lead that came from social media that now they can track and account for, and it creates that opportunity for them to want to continue to work with you because you really do what you say you're going to do for their business, right? And so again, anyways, I just wanted to share this video with you guys. Stay committed, stay consistent, and just know that you don't have to have a large audience. You don't have to, get hundreds of thousands of views per video. As long as you're talking about the right message and hitting the pain points of the client that you're trying to service, I promise you that you will get that conversion, right? And so anyways, I'm gonna leave I actually have I think it's right here. Yep, I have the doc. If you want it, you can tweak it, send it over to ChatGPT, have it give you a different structure based on your own inputs and data. If you want that, I'm gonna leave the link down below. And also too, if you're a video agency owner, a SMMA, or you're a social media manager that wants to scale your video business to the next level and land consistently and hit consistently 10K plus months, I'm gonna leave the link down below so you and I can book a call, see if we're a good fit to work with each other. And I'll see you guys in the next video.